Baseball is dead.
Rest in peace.
We're like, I don't know. I mean, spring training's here. I'm less than a week away from going to Florida, Dallas. You're going to Arizona when? Today?
Yeah, I'm actually going to Arizona today, but
Okay.
I'm just in and out. I'll be in Arizona for less than 8 hours. Honestly, I'll be there.
What's the mission?
Some stuff to do for NBC at the ballpark there.
Yeah,
and then I'll come home for 2 days, and then back on a bird, back out to AZ for the next 2 weeks.
I just did a hit earlier for DraftKings. I went on the sweat, and we were talking about, we were breaking down the AL West, the odds. And let me tell you something, Dallas. Those Oakland A's, baby, they're only plus 20,000. The DraftKings Sportsbook, you can get them at plus 20,000 right now. You head on over and place your bets for the Oakland A's to win the American League West this year. I wanted to get your expert opinion on it.
I brought this up. If you remember, I brought this up last podcast. I talked about the value that was there. And why are you shaking your head, Jay? Why are you shaking your head?
I mean, it's a good value way to light your money on fire, for sure.
Look, depending on what you are willing to part ways with and what you feel could be, could be a Hail Mary, might not be the same to somebody else. That's all I'm saying.
So let's play a game.
Is it 20,000? Sorry.
It's plus 20,000. I want to play a game. It's called Dallas reads players on the Oakland A's roster. How long does it take before we get to a guy we've never heard of before?
Oh, boy. I mean, it could be the first name, depending on where he starts.
I mean, if he starts with Ramon Laureano, that's great. All right, after Ramon, we're taking Ramon Laureano.
Stop saying the names. Stop saying the names.
That's Ramon Laureano. I'm taking him off the board. All right. Just read names and we will respond with, have we heard of this guy before? Go ahead.
All right. Let me go through the Tony Kim.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
Of course. Jesus Aguilar.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
I forgot that
former
he's
Cleveland great.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right. JJ Bleday.
Came over in the puck trade.
What? You don't know who JJ Bleday is? It's JJ Bleday Day, baby.
Okay. Yeah.
The fact that we've
Bleday
arrived
dog
at him so quickly is pretty disconcerting, I think. But
no. I'm just thinking. I mean, these are new additions, so these are guys that are,
that's fair.
I don't want to maybe a little fresher in my head that I'm thinking about. Yep. What about the kid that's going to be roaming center field?
Yeah,
Estuary Ruiz.
Oh, from the Padres. No, Padres. I know. I'm still riding.
You, Jay.
He stole like 1,000 bags in 14 games in the minors last year.
Yeah, I mean, you want to go through. I mean, we can just run through the pitching staff, right?
Yeah.
Oh, Paulie Punch Out, Paul Blackburn, boom.
Yeah, all-star.
That's right.
Paulie Punch Out.
Jay doesn't know him as Paulie Punch Out.
That's good.
Hey, put some fucking respect on that name, Jay. I don't want to hear you fucking giggling over there.
Oh man.
What else you got?
It's fucking Paulie Punch Out. Cap. I said Cap. James Caprillion.
Yep.
Give me the Southpaw Waldy. Fuck Ken Waldichuk. Bucket. You know who that is.
Who?
Ken Waldichuk. Former Yankee prospect, current Oakland A. That's right. Shintaro. Everybody knows and loves Shintaro. Why? No, that's that guy plays.
Does he just have one name? Is that his first name or his last name?
That's his first name.
Shintaro what?
What's the last name?
Fujinami. Final answer. Fujinami. That's fucking tricky. There's an N and a J in there. I mean,
right. It's difficult.
Get off me. I feel like that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Was I right? Anyway, doesn't matter. It's still spring training. Sure. Let's go down to the bullpen.
Yeah, let's go down to the bullpen.
Zach Jackson, disappearing slider. You know him. You love him.
No idea who that is.
No. Adam Oller, swing guy, could be in the rotation, could be in the bullpen. You know his name. I said it once. It's all you need. I'm not playing this game anymore. I'm done.
I think you lost. No, it was a
Shea
great exercise, though.
Shea Langoliers,
I think we've arrived at the part of the roster where it's best not to play the game anymore.
No, Nicky Knox. Nicky Knox, I can go back offense. What do you want? What else you need?
Is that a nickname or is his last name? Is it Knox or is that his nickname Knocks?
Legitimately never heard of Nicky Knox. That's
hey, that's he's a dual wielding nicknamer. When he's at the dish. If
he's a pitcher, it doesn't make sense.
No, timeout guy. He's a shortstop, first of all.
Oh, he's a shortstop. Well, you said let's go down in the bullpen. Then you said Nicky Knox.
No, I said we can get out of the bullpen. I started going back to the offense. Okay. I went Langoliers, and then I dropped a Nicky Knox on you. You said, who's that? I said, that's Nick Allen. But that's Nicky Knox at the dish. If he's in the field making sick plays like you're going to watch him make this year, it's Nicky Pickett.
Nicky Pickett.
I thought his actual name was Nicky Knox.
I know, that's how fucking good it sounds coming off the tongue, Jay. It was given to him by the baseball gods.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, his real name doesn't make it any clearer who he is. I've never heard of that person either. Nick Allen.
Hey, but when you hear Nicky Knox, you're going to know who we're talking about. When you hear Nicky Pickett, you're going to know who that is.
Nicky Knox, Nicky Pickett. That's right.
Nicky Pickett, when we're tuning into those Oakland A's games on the West Coast, we're up late. It's going to be 11:30 at night. Now we know who Nicky Pickett is.
That's right. Hey, put it like this. Nicky Pickett's going to be on full display opening night because oddly enough, the Oakland A's play on opening night, opening night game. So
against who?
So the Angels. So your guys' games are going to be done and you're going to have baseball for dinner. And it's going to be alphabet soup, baby. A's.
What's Nicky Knox / Nicky Pickett's real name?
Nick Allen.
Nick Allen. Okay. All right. That was over the line. That's just...
that was completely unnecessary.
Yeah, I agree. But you know what is completely necessary? Sitting down with a blue moon while you're watching that Angels A's game on opening night.
You bet your sweet ass. I'll have one of my... Wait, no, I won't.
That's not a Sunday night baseball game? Is it Sunday?
All games are everybody's opening on the same day, Thursday this year. First time.
Ooh, okay. Spring training's here, which means that baseball is finally back. Blue Moon gives you a dose of ballpark nostalgia to get you excited for the baseball season. In fact, Blue Moon was born in a ballpark at the Sandlot Brewery in Denver, Colorado. Its bold flavor, bright explosion of color, and iconic orange slice ritual guarantees a one-of-a-kind beer experience perfect for spring weather. We'll be down in Arizona in a couple of weeks. I'll be down in Florida next week, be broadcasting live from Fort Myers. And I'll be drinking some Blue Moons while I'm down there in both spring training locations. From its refreshing flavor, with Valencia orange peel for a subtle sweetness and hints of coriander, Blue Moon Belgian-style wheat ale is a one-of-a-kind beer that's made brighter. It's carefully crafted and full-flavored with refreshing notes and a smooth, creamy finish. Ooh. Why strike out with the same old beer where you can get something that's one of a kind? Best served with a signature orange garnish to showcase its beautiful hazy color. A beer this good only comes around once in a blue moon, but you can enjoy it all season long. Bring the ballpark to you for spring training. Blue Moon Belgian-style wheat ale is a one-of-a-kind beer every time. Get Blue Moon delivered by visiting get.bluemoonbeer.com/rocket to see your delivery options. That is get.bluemoonbeer.com/rocket. Blue Moon, made brighter. Celebrate responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado Ale.
Moon me, Jake.
We mentioned this team very, very, very briefly. The Angels.
The A's? The A's? You want to talk about the A's? I had no idea you were so A's heavy today.
Yeah, we got a lot of A's on the docket, but we mentioned the Angels here. And it was just this past week. Shohei Ohtani is, and this is going to be the story of the year, not just the story of spring training. It's going to be the story of the year in regards to baseball. Bob Nightingale had this quote back on the 16th. We're not at 2 episodes a week yet. We will be once the season resumes. But Shohei Ohtani, quote, "Right now, I'm an Angel. That's all I'm focusing on." Not good. Not good, Dallas.
Well,
if you start by saying right now I'm an Angel, that means I'm not going to be an Angel for much longer.
Shohei Ohtani!
Segoy!
It's just not. It's not looking good for the Angels. And I made this prediction on the Sweat. They asked me for a hot take. They said, "What's your AL West hot take?" And I was like, "I bet you think that I'm going with something Astros related, maybe something Jacob deGrom related." But that's not at all what my hot take is. My AL West hot take was, and I'm paraphrasing myself, I said the Angels, and I'm sorry to Max, will once again be mediocre. They will be. They just will. They will not trade Shohei Ohtani because they want to still have a chance to retain him in free agency, which they won't. So they will lose Shohei. They won't get anything for him at the deadline. And because of all this offseason will start the rumors and reports that Mike Trout wants out. If Shohei walks and they don't even get anything for him at the deadline, which would be very Angels to have happen,
well,
this winter, next offseason, we're going to start hearing the Mike Trout wants out stuff.
I don't think that's necessary. I don't think that's an aggressive take at all.
Well, I mean, he's been through a decade of mediocrity and missing the playoffs, and he's never said a peep about get me the fuck out of here.
No, but I'll say this too. How old is Mike Trout now?
33.
So I'm gonna say this, and I know initially there might be some shock. There might be. He's how old?
31.
Okay. So do we feel like
32
the
in
best
August
7-year window of Mike Trout's career is ahead of him?
I think he's in it.
Would you say he's towards the end of it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
but I mean at 31.
Well, hey, look, and I'm not saying that the dude can't continue to just be fucking ridiculous for the next 7. I'm not saying that at all. What we're talking about is the likelihood and the longevity of a career, especially a superstar, performing at the level that he has for as long as he has. So for him, at this stage in his career, to be the guy that he's been this entire time, take one on the chin, be the guy for the halos that you can build around Artie if you and the crew can figure things out and get us all pointed in the right direction. I'm here. The most stable piece of fucking foundation you need, I'm here. And now, like I've said this, he's had a decade to watch how they're going to support him and how they're going to build around him play out. And he's still just kind of, stuck with it. He's hung in there. Stand by your man, Mike Trout.
There's a dozen years in the big leagues.
I know. And now he's going to watch them handle Shohei Ohtani, and he's got to be thinking, and I'm not saying he's got to be, he knows. He's looking at this going, all right, I'm the fucking dude here in the league. The next dude here in the league is that guy right there. And however they treat him and however they handle what the future looks like with him, that says it all for me. And if it has Shohei Ohtani leaving, there's no reason Mike Trout would want to spend 10 more minutes in Anaheim. Unless it was just I'm staying here, keeping my head down, signed a deal, blah, 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 blah. That might be the cloth that he's cut from ultimately. We won't know that, though, until that day comes. But I don't think that that's crazy at all, because recently we've heard Mike Trout become more vocal about things where in the past he wouldn't. He chimed in on the Astros stuff. He's talked about wanting to get to the postseason more and more, where in years past, it was just a pretty obvious thing that we were all talking about for him. Now he's starting to take up for himself and say some things publicly. And that right there was all the messaging anybody who's been paying attention to this situation for any period of time needed, was watching him start to become open and verbally communicating the desire to win. Whereas before it was just everybody going, when are they going to build around Trout? When are we going to see Trout in the postseason? Blah, 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 blah. So how they handle Shohei, Mike Trout is absolutely going to either hunker down or he's going to say, look, man, I'm trying to win.
Well, I will say, if you're an Angels fan, would you be, and you lose Shohei, would you be devastated if they trade Mike Trout, or would you maybe think that's smart?
Well,
I don't think the Angels are interested in making baseball decisions. I think that they're interested in making like attraction decisions.
But if you're a fan, that's what I'm saying. If you're a fan and you see what Mike Trout has gotten you, obviously he's the greatest player of the generation, but no playoffs. Would you be that opposed to just trading him and being like, we've tried it?
I don't know. I mean, if you're an Angels fan, you got to be sitting there thinking like, we had not just one, but both of the best players of this generation on the same team, and it didn't do anything. Like, we couldn't build around them. So what makes you think that if you trade Mike Trout, that you're going to use those pieces to then rebuild and get to a point where you can actually have a playoff team?
What you're in danger of is now losing both of these guys because of how essentially they've failed to build around both. That's what's going to happen. Mike Trout's going to watch Shohei Ohtani walk, and then Mike Trout's going to walk. And Angels fans are going to think, well, if they let Ohtani walk, at least we'll have Trout. Well, that might be the exit ticket for Mike Trout.
I also wonder, like, if you get to the point where Mike Trout really does want out, obviously he's under contract, right, and all that. But, like, the question of, is it worth it to trade Mike Trout at that point and kind of retool? I wonder, I would be very surprised if the return on Mike Trout was equal to what Angels fans would expect the return on Mike Trout to be, given the amount of money owed to him and, like,
the age.
I'll say his age, but just because I mean, he had 40 homers in under 120 games last year. The guy can still ball out, but like, he's on this is not Juan Soto being traded, right? This is a guy on the other side of 30. Like, I do think the market would probably be limited to 4 or 5 teams once we really, really got down to it, who are in a position to absorb. I don't have it offhand, but $300 million.
Even some of the teams that you would imagine, maybe they don't have the payroll flexibility or the desire to add a guy who's on the wrong
they'd get a lot of stuff. Like, the organization would be, there would be an influx of talent, but I'd be very surprised if it was worth. I think that ship sailed, honestly. If you were in the Mike Trout, trade Mike Trout to retool thing like that was years ago. I think that was probably before the extension was signed, and I wouldn't have done it then either. But
that package, Jay, that package brings you 4 years ago, 5 years. That package brings you a big league ready, probably 2 big league ready, big league players as well.
The game's completely changed 4 or 5 years ago, for sure.
As well as premium prospects. So you've got 2 guys that you could probably plug into your roster today, as well as prospects 4 or 5 years ago. Now, that's just not the case. Now you might get some high-end pieces, but still no guarantee on what that projection looks like. It's just a completely different ball game now because of where he's at age-wise, and to your point, the money owed, and the market. The market, I feel like, naturally limits itself when all of those stars start to line up, meaning what the money is owed, the age, prospect, price tag. Yeah,
I mean, we talk about it all the time on this podcast. We see it on people talking about it on Twitter. Like, there are only a certain number of franchises who are playing in that particular end of the pool at any given time. And, like, it really doesn't matter how great the player is, because there are some teams, when we're talking about an investment of $250 or $300 or $350 million, are just not going to do that. Like, the Cleveland Guardians are never going to do that. And it doesn't matter whether the player was like the new version of Barry Bonds, it's a non-starter before it even begins. So, interesting theoretical.
That sucks for Mike Trout. He's got the death sentence, bro.
Yeah,
He's
too
been
good.
sentenced to death.
But he chose it. He chose it twice. So we've had that conversation before, where it's very hard to feel bad for Mike Trout.
No,
given that he chose this set of circumstances and he was not new to the organization, what they were about, what they were able to do, what the track record was. And again, I think it's an odd dynamic where we as baseball fans are like forcing him out the door. Like, go to a team that goes to the playoffs and have a chance at being in the postseason. What if he genuinely doesn't care about that? Like, he signed an extension that says, I'm going to retire with the Angels. What if he just wants to live out there? He's got his house there. He has his life there. He has his family there. He has his roots there. And he just wants to play out the string and just be the best player of this generation.
There you go.
In a place where he's comfortable. What if that's what he wants?
Well, there's nothing wrong with that, first of all. And that's just the desire of the baseball community to have this kind of an impact player be a part of the game's biggest stage. And I think it's because there's also this parallel conversation about growing the game and how do we do that? I mean, there's people making fun of Jacob deGrom and the back to school photo that he took, and how unmarketable all of his answers are. And you know what? There's just some people who they don't care. They don't care. Like, the world puts these guys in a spot where shouldn't they be wanting to do more? Shouldn't they want to capitalize? Shouldn't they want to? And a lot of the times in the baseball world, the answer is no. Like, you want to know what a lot of these dudes want to do? They don't give a shit about a Twitter account. They don't give a shit about an Instagram account. They want to buy land. They want to shoot guns. They want to do whatever the fuck they want. And they don't give a shit what you think about that or anything. They don't care. They don't care. And then there's other guys who want to shoot guns and they want 3 camera guys on it, watching their bird dog go out and fucking retrieve the greenheads they just blasted, right? Like elk. Like, there's different types of dudes. There's different types of ways to grow it. And when you're the greatest player in the game, fans gravitate towards having you on the game's biggest stage. And when that doesn't happen, naturally you yearn for that. But that doesn't mean that guy is going, fuck, man, me too. He might be, hey, we'll get him next year.
I have a genuine question for all of you guys. Do you even remember Mike Trout in the postseason?
No.
Do you remember, like, without looking, do you know what year it was?
15?
12, maybe?
Nope.
14.
Yeah.
It was 2014. He got 15 plate appearances and hit 083.
Maybe
And
that's why.
I mean, I've watched every second of playoff baseball since the late 90s. All of it. I don't remember Mike Trout in the playoffs. Like, I don't remember it. And obviously there weren't any memorable. It's not like, oh, how do you forget that walk-off home run that he had? Like, I don't even remember who the Angels played. I don't remember Mike Trout coming to the plate. And it was still early enough in his career. He got called up in 11? He got called up in 11, so it was his 4th year in the big leagues. So obviously there wasn't the legend of Mike Trout wasn't as established. Had he had an MVP by that point? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he won his first that year. So he hadn't yet won an MVP, but he did have an MVP season that year, and that was preceded by 2 back-to-back runners up. So I mean, you knew he was really good, but there wasn't this clamoring of like, finally, like Mike Trout's in the playoffs. That obviously exists now. I'd love to see it, but is this a weird take? It's kind of difficult to want it that badly when I can't tell that he wants it as bad as I want it for him.
I also wonder. Sorry, go ahead, Dallas.
No, say it, Jay. I was just agreeing.
I also wonder, like, how we'll look back on this stuff once his career is over. Like, it does feel right now like it matters a lot that he hasn't had a lot of postseason or basically no postseason exposure as an all-time great. But like, Ted Williams got 30 career plate appearances in the postseason, and I realize it was a different era in the postseason. The threshold to make the postseason was. But I don't feel like you really hear when people talk about Ted Williams' legacy. You don't hear people bring up, well, the guy never got it done in the postseason, or the guy really wasn't a postseason hero. It's just sort of like he's like maybe the greatest pure hitter of all time and one of the greatest offensive players in baseball history. So maybe it will be one of the first things brought up about Mike Trout, but I wonder about that sometimes.
I think it's also, what about the money factor? Like when you talk about legacy championships and stuff like that, like Ted Williams gave money back to the Red Sox. He was
not only that, but Ted Williams also
fought a
is
war,
a
2 wars.
fucking war hero and
Yeah.
a goddamn patriot and
Yeah.
a fucking quality American and
Yeah.
shall be remembered and revered as such because there's
he's
a
in,
reason
what,
they
3
call
Hall
it
of
the Great
Fames?
Generation.
I think he's in like 3 or 4 different Hall of Fames: baseball, saltwater, freshwater for fishing, and then I think he's in like.
So I can
fighter
overlook
pilot
the
Hall of
lack of a
Famers.
fucking World Series
Yeah,
championship.
but the reason that people overlook the lack of a World Series is not because he fought in a war. Like, let's separate those two things.
It's not like the Red Sox were like, damn, man.
Yeah, he
if only
didn't
we
miss
had
this
Ted
great
Williams in
Red
those
Sox
years.
run while he was in the war.
But I mean, they got there in 46 and lost to the Cardinals. So like he got to the World Series. He was
he had
injured.
30
I think he
plate
got like
appearances.
hit in the elbow and like broke a fucking bone, but he still played.
But that's what I'm saying. They also went directly to the World Series at that point. So it's like it's a little bit different, and fewer teams made the postseason and all that. But like, I don't know. Maybe Mike Trout's legacy will heavily feature was postseason irrelevant. Never made the postseason. Never made an impact. But I tend to think that when we look back 20 years after he's retired, the vast majority of the conversation will be about the greatness of his career, in part because baseball regular season statistics are such a large part of the fabric of a player's legacy and how we remember them and the history of the game, and his will be unimpeachable at that point.
Well, Griffey never got there. Barry got
Griffey's
there
another guy
once
who really didn't
and
have much
lost.
postseason.
I think also with the Trout situation, because you've got Ohtani that has come over and been a part of Trout's legacy now. And I mean, they're a part of each other's legacy, right? I don't think that doesn't need to be said. We understand that. But there's also this other little ingredient here where the team was shopped around and was going to be sold. So the narrative of not being able to build around the superstar Trout is because of ownership. And they even thought about selling at one point in time. And then old Artie came out of left field, was like, not happening. I ain't selling fucking nothing. And then this year will really, really start to color in the picture of the Trout legacy because of what we were just talking about. What's going to happen with Ohtani? Because from here, the narrative goes one or two ways, right? They let Ohtani walk, and then after that, Trout was vocal about wanting to get out, or it's they let Ohtani walk, and Trout was fine with it. Trout finished his career an Angel, and it is what it is. And now we talk about the ownership showing up and selling, not selling. Ohtani was here. They couldn't keep him, and Trout didn't really kick like that. That's all waiting to unfold.
I think, well, let's say this. If Ted Williams halfway through his career got Jackie Robinson on his team, had the other best player in the league, and still didn't make the playoffs, don't you think people would say that more? Like he had people around him and still couldn't do it?
I certainly think it would bring a greater spotlight to it for sure.
It's not like he didn't have support. I mean, like he had Dom DiMaggio. He didn't have the best DiMaggio, but he had a really good. DiMaggio.
He had the second best.
Team. Yeah, he had the second best DiMaggio on his team. They got to the World Series.
I do think the idea that you can tell the story of Mike Trout through the teammates that he has had is kind of an interesting, kind of side plot, because you have the Ohtani era and anything that comes after that.
But
and then of course you had the Pujols era. You had Josh Hamilton was signed for a lot of money to be a running mate for the Angels.
Everyone forgets that Anthony Rendon was a very good player.
Anthony Rendon is, and that's another thing about, to go back to the rebuilding or trading Mike Trout for prospects. Like you do that, you're still saddled with $200 million left on Anthony Rendon's contract too. So
Correct.
Like it's a tough spot there.
I think to Dallas's point earlier, talking about Trout and Ohtani's legacies being tied together. Let's just say hypothetically, and I don't even know how hypothetical it is. Shohei Ohtani ends up with the Los Angeles Dodgers next
wins a
year.
World Series,
wins 3 World Series. Then he plays the next 10 years in LA, wins 3, goes to 5, right? After he retires, call it 10 years after he retires. How many people are going to even talk about the Angels years? They'll be like, yeah, like he won the MVP and like, yeah, he was teammates with Trout, but then like his legacy will be the Dodgers
and
in the
sure.
legacy that he built there.
But then you still look back and you go, remember when Artie Moreno was going to sell the team, but he didn't, and he ended up letting Shohei walk. They couldn't retain him. And what did Shohei go on to do? So that, again, like the major story is the World Series championships,
no doubt.
3 out of 5 trips. But where does the story start? With a defunct ability to either lock him down or inability to lock him down or let him walk. And that's
but isn't that crazy that the forgettable part of his career would be like if Barry Bonds and Ken Griffey Jr. played on the same team, but no one remembers it because Barry went on to do what Barry did. Like if Barry and Griffey were on the Pirates together, but no one remembers it because when Barry went to San Francisco, that's when he like broke the records and he was in the World Series and this and that. Like that, there's a very strong chance that Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani teammates is a footnote for 2 of the best players who ever played this game that is being played since the 1800s.
And that's where that World Series trophy just puts on the googly eyes and is looking at Mike Trout saying, this could have been you, but you playing. You playing. You kicking it with Artie. This could have been you.
Yeah. Mike Trout could be known as a cancerous teammate. Who knows? I mean, look what happened when Pujols left.
It's true.
Resurgence.
That's what I was going to bring up too, the Pujols thing. How much do you think he regrets putting the post-retirement agreement in that contract? Like the fact that he had this storybook ending, goes back to the St. Louis Cardinals, hits 700 home runs, has a swan song, goes away in the postseason, and then it's like, fuck, I have to go back and be an Angel. Like the fact that he could, in theory, just be showing up in spring, like Ichiro. Dude retired, never went away. Just started showing up in spring training with the Seattle Mariners. He's helping out all those guys, and Albert Pujols has to like get sucked back into the vortex that is putting on an Angels uniform and being at that spring training camp.
You have it all wrong. It is way funnier this way. This is this is the best possible way that it could play out because you would have to imagine that there's an awkwardness on both sides, and the fact that it has to play like I got to pay this dude who, like, Artie Moreno's probably thinking, like, I got to keep paying this dude for 10 more years who ripped me off for 10 years before. Like, I don't even want to see.
Do we have proof that it was in there the whole time?
Artie's got to get this. Is where Artie's got to put his business hat on, and you got to figure out a way that he can essentially sell the rights to celebrate everything back to the Cardinals. Like, all right, whatever you guys think I'm going to make on this. We'll slide a napkin across the table here at Denny's, and there's going to be a number on there. All right, you tell me how far apart we are, and let's get to a number where he can be a bird again. You know, that's
do you think they can work out a trade? Like we're trading you
post-career.
10 years of Albert's post career back to the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yes.
Like, that was one of the coolest things. We talked about this all the time when we went to the Atlanta Braves spring training facility, and there's just Braves legends everywhere. So cool that like those guys all come back. They all want to be a part of it. If I'm a St. Louis Cardinal and I'm like a rookie and I'm coming up and I'm like a first baseman and say Spencer Torkelson got drafted by the Cardinals. And it's like, all right, like I'm the buff first baseman that pops homers. I can learn from Albert Pujols. You kidding me? That should be one of the things that's just rite of passage. You come up through the Cardinals system. I want to learn from Albert Pujols. Instead, I got to go to the fucking Angels for that.
No. This is Artie Moreno's going, I'm going to think outside the box here. I know that Albert Pujols has played third base before. So I'm going to get him. He might be a little injury prone. Yeah, that's okay. I'm going to get him to sit down with Anthony Rendon. All right.
Oh, God.
They're going to talk about.
They're going to talk about their broke ass feet.
That's right.
It sucks because
I wonder who's stiffer at this point.
Hey, come on! Rendon is a viable option.
Albert was just in the All-Star game, the basketball. He had a steal on 21 Savage.
Yeah,
Pujols. Yeah.
I mean, fact remains, I've seen Albert Pujols carry a team more recently than I've seen Anthony Rendon do it. So
get Max on the phone. We got to call Max right now. I need his takes on. I'm going to call Max right now.
By the way, it really is kind of embarrassing though, because like it doesn't matter. Like everyone will always wants to think of Albert Pujols as a Cardinal. So like this idea that he's going around like glad handing is like an ambassador of the Angels. It's just like
right.
I want to
like when everybody the name of it. It's like when they change the name of the stadium. It's like, actually, I'm still going to call it Jacobs Field. Like, fuck off.
Yeah. Well, that's like, you know what it's like? It's like it's like Nick Saban showing up at the fucking 16-0 Miami Dolphins. Like fucking, like, hey, I'm the old Dolphin guy. Like we all know me as the Dolphin guy, right? It's like, where's your fucking Roll Tide polo guy? What the fuck is going on here? What are you doing here?
Well, maybe that's how they're going to get Shohei to sign with them. Be like, bro, you can be the coach when you retire.
When you retire.
Why can't
I think Shohei says no to that?
No, I mean, look, you got Buster Posey retiring and like becoming part owner of the team. The next move is for an active player to have an active stake in the team he's playing for. That's where Artie Moreno locks in Ohtani. He's like, look.
That's what he should have done. I'm selling the team to Shohei Ohtani to keep him here. That's the only way it could happen.
Instead of selling the team, we had been workshopping the idea of bringing in a new owner into the group. I would like to announce that owner today. That owner is also the opening day starter and the cleanup hitter. That is Shohei Ohtani.
Dude, I could totally see it, but they can't because Shohei, that's obviously collusion. They just give it to his dad. His dad is the owner.
I think there's probably still a conflict of interest thing there.
No, man.
Do you think so?
No. I mean, Alex Avila's dad was the GM. Feel like you could own the team. That wouldn't be a problem.
Alex Avila was your catcher when I almost put one into fucking the parking lot off of you.
Oh, that's right. For the game that we won. That never happened.
Yeah. When you guys walked it off on the top of the 13. That was the most bullshit game of all time. They were the road team and they walked off. They brought the whole cooler out.
See, that's why you show up to the ballpark, ladies and gentlemen, because you could see something that you've never seen before. And those fans got to watch a visiting team walk it off.
I need to find that Pujols contract.
Yeah. Well,
so is Pujols in spring training right now? Like,
oh yeah,
with the hat on.
He's walking around like an angel.
Walking around like an angel.
He is an angel.
It's almost like, do you wonder if people have to like have it explained to them why he's there? Like,
yeah.
like hold on.
They're like, wait a second.
Like he got traded, right? He went to the Dodge and then he went to the
holy shit. Pujols is here on an NRI. God damn.
Yeah. That cool. Like, is he back? Like, man, he fucking loves the game, huh? He's back. Like, no. So here's what happened.
Why is this?
Yeah, I would love to see the Cardinals and the Angels work out a post-career trade for the next decade of Albert services. I mean, it's tough though because the milestones and stuff, those were all hit in a Halo uni.
Well, 700 came in seven. Yeah,
that's what they wanted.
Yeah, the 700 came as a Cardinal.
Yeah, yes, that's what I meant. Yeah.
What'd you say? I don't have my headphones on.
No, I stopped talking. But we're on the same page.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna find.
Yeah, like those. That was all supposed to happen 5 years ago in Anaheim.
There it is. Okay, 10 years, $240 million. Signed by the Angels as a free agent. He's got milestone bonuses, award bonuses, perks, hotel suite on the road, luxury suite for Pujols, charity for 10 home games each season, right to buy a luxury suite between first and third. A 10-year, oh my God, 10-year, $10 million personal services contract begins once player contract expires. So all right, I'm calling Max.
Yeah, so that's showing up at, ownership dinners and luncheons.
He's for $10 million for a 10-year deal. Albert Pujols is the Angels' butler for the next decade.
What are we doing?
Max, we're talking about Albert Pujols and his ridiculous personal services contract with your do you call them the Anaheim Angels, like the Angels fans? Like, I feel like if you're actually in the Anaheim area, you like fuck LA.
Yeah, they're kind of like, that's like kind of like a nostalgic thing. Like, I don't know, like everyone wants them to be the Anaheim Angels, but like I guess we kind of get it. The LA thing, the money. I don't really know. They're nowhere near LA. If you've ever been here.
No, they're not. They're not. We were just having a conversation about Shohei Ohtani inevitably leaving your team, and then Mike Trout demanding a trade once Shohei leaves. Where are you on that situation?
That's all slander. The Ohtani thing, okay, you might be kind of right there. Like,
Definitely right.
It's kind of like when you're about to break up with someone, you know, and it's just like you know what, he's not even that good anyway. Like, who really cares?
Honestly, you know what it's like? It's like living with your girlfriend and you are both on the lease and you break up and there's still like a year left on the lease and you just are fucking stuck with each other as roommates. That's exactly what's going on with Shohei Ohtani and the Angels.
I don't know. Like, but then it's like that, like 25% of me is like, well, he could stay. Let me know.
25%.
Come on. 25%?
Come on, bro. Like,
No.
give me a little something here. Like, he could stay. Like, come on.
No.
For old time's sake, like, he could stay. Come on. We had pillow night this year. Like, he had face on a pillow. Then Verlander came over. Like, it was a great night. He could stay.
You got pillow night because you've been sleeping on Shohei. That's why he gone.
And it's a good point. Ben Verlander is based in LA. That's probably a huge incentive for
Yeah,
Shohei.
you think he's gonna leave? You think he's gonna leave his number one fan? Come on.
No.
There's no way.
He might leave
No.
just to get away from Ben Verlander.
Yeah, you're right. But
That might be
he
the
went all way
first
to
thing
just-
he says to ownership is like, listen, I love the team. I love the direction that we're going in. But this guy won't leave me alone.
Bro, this dude went to Japan, to his hometown. He can't go anywhere.
he could show up
you think-
anywhere at any time. You're right.
You're not getting away from this guy. It doesn't really matter where he goes. All right, so you're just not getting away from him. So, but yeah, like I'm right there. Like, I think, you know, will we make the right baseball move? Like, will we trade him and get a bunch of stuff at the deadline, like Soto? Like, I don't know. Will he just walk? Maybe. Will he stay? Maybe.
No.
I don't know. It's kind of the thing. But Trout demanding a trade, that's no Trout. No way.
Yeah, you're right. He just doesn't have the it factor. He just doesn't want it bad enough.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know about that. I just think he's a one-man guy.
Max, it's one or the other. Like, either he wants to make the playoffs or he wants to play for the Angels.
You can do both.
No, you can't.
They're not mutual. Like, you can do both. Like, he always talks about looking up to Derek Jeter and how, like, he always, like, played for one team. And I think he, like, really respects that. And I think, look, man, it's going to come down to him to make the playoffs. Yeah, you're right. Like, but he's going to be the one to do both, I think.
Okay, incorrect. Last thing before we let you go, the Anthony Rendon MVP race, is it back on for 2023?
So, I mean, I tweeted you the other day. You just left me on red, big time me. So, what are the odds looking like? Maybe I'll throw down a couple bucks on there.
Let me see. The DraftKings Sportsbook.
Rendon just did an interview. He doesn't have social media.
Plus 10,000. Plus 10,000.
Okay.
What?
Value right there. The value.
That's a good pick.
Value.
Yeah. He has the same
What we call
chances as
value.
Randy Arozarena. That can't be right.
That's very true.
Trevor Story.
Arozarena cannot
So
be
put
in
it this
the
way. Anthony Rendon has the same odds to win the MVP as Trevor Story, who probably has a chance of not even playing a baseball game this year.
You love Trevor.
I do love Trevor Story, but he's hurt right now.
No, so Rendon just did an interview with The Athletic, I think, and he has his social media presence is like worse than mine. He still has gnats in his bio, which is kind of hilarious. He like said something where he's like, I see all the stuff, all the criticism, all the all the hate, all the MVP bet slips. I guess I don't know if he sees that or not, but yeah, like I kind of, again, this one I'm a little more hesitant on, where I'm like, I kind of know how the Rendon thing is going to play out. But look at the bright side. Only 3 more years left.
I mean, are you in or are you out? I feel like you can't be like the Anthony Rendon MVP betting guy and also be the there's only 3 years left, I can't wait for him to leave guy. You can't be both.
Well, yeah, I can, though. Like how Trout's going to win and be an Angel.
Mm-hmm.
I can be he's going to leave in 3 years, but one of these 3 years, I'm going to hit that plus 10,000.
Okay. All right. Plus 10,000 at the DraftKings Sportsbook, Max. Best of luck to your Angels this year. I would say, as a friend, enjoy it while it lasts, because it's probably all going to come crashing down after this year.
Yeah, and I'd love to be back on when he does leave. I don't know. You guys are probably going to have like a 5-hour telethon when that happens. Appreciate you guys having me on for sure.
Yeah.
And let's push that Shohei. Where do you guys think he goes real quick before I leave?
I think I'm in the 25%. I think he stays.
You're full of shit, dude.
He gone.
Yeah, clear. Where does he go?
It's time for Dodger baseball.
All right, I'm out here. Bye.
Oh, sad to see Max go.
Yeah. We love Max, though. Go Halos.
That's got to be a tough. It's a tough pill to swallow as an Angels fan, to deal with all of this coming down the pipeline, knowing that you can't do anything to stop it.
Nothing. Nothing. But I don't know if you've noticed, Dallas, my internet has been firing on all cylinders this podcast. And that is because the good folks at Comcast Xfinity. Oh, yeah. Game Day just got a major upgrade with the next generation Xfinity 10G network. With Xfinity 10G, you can power an entire house full of devices all at once. So go ahead, invite your neighbors over for the game and your neighbors' neighbors. Xfinity 10G can handle it all at once with ultra low lag. Xfinity 10G gives you the fastest internet both at home and when you're away. With millions of Wi-Fi hotspots, you can stay right in on the action even when you're on the go. Introducing the next generation 10G network only from Xfinity. The future starts now. Learn more at xfinity.com/10G. Oh, yeah, baby. I was reading this column earlier. Yelich said he went off the grid this offseason. Said he just disconnected. He didn't know who was on what team. He didn't know what the free agency signings were. He didn't know who got traded where. Said he just unplugged and tried to get back to form. Back injuries, which he's been dealing with for a little bit now.
So Yelich unplugged.
He unplugged. How much do you think that can actually help?
A ton. It helps a ton. I mean, I do this during the offseason, even now, not as a player. I don't have the physical stress that these guys have. I don't have the emotional stress that these guys have as an active player, but you still need to unplug. You still need to get away. And it's a physical cleanse, a mental cleanse, all of the above. You talk to guys who are now every day trying to incorporate moments throughout their day, whether it's a 10-minute window, a half-hour window, where they are literally, it's called earthing. They walk around barefoot on the grass, on the dirt, to feel the earth and connect with the earth's vibrations. And there's science that backs up the benefits, the health benefits from connecting to nature. And that's what literally unplugging does, is it gets you away from these radio waves that we are surrounded with and surrounded by, that are coursing through our body, because we use them every day, sitting in front of this computer with the phone in your hand, headphones on your ears. Like, there's a whole bunch of shit just pumping through you. Well, when you get away from that, it resonates, and you're not clouded with the opinions of others and what you're doing right now to get yourself right. And because I was just talking about this yesterday, if somebody eats something before a game and they feel like that's what brought them to that pinnacle of performance, then let them eat it before the game. And I don't care if it's terrible for them and it's actually doing a disservice to them. You want to know what it's doing for them? Mentally, it's putting them in the right place they need to be to go out and execute. And that's what unplugging can do, is it allows you to find a new wavelength, find a new path, sort of flush everything from last year and start fresh. You shed skin.
especially with Yelich, because if you look at his stats, like Yelich's kind of like downturn in production lines up perfectly with like 5G towers going up.
Boom.
So,
boom.
You think that's what he's thinking?
Subconsciously, Joey, because he used the term unplug. That's how deep these waves go.
So 5G is what screwed Yelich over.
No, I'll say this. Yelich has been a guy who's always sort of a tinkerer of sorts, right? Like we were, when we interviewed him, he was talking about the adjustments that he made like during the MVP year. And he was like, did I just kind of went into the cage and was like, I think I'm going to stand like this today. And that felt good. And so I kept doing it and I kept raking. But you know, you tinker, you toy, physical setbacks force you to try different things, compromise your ability to move certain ways. So you're trying to just figure out a way to get from A to B as efficiently as possible. That can take away. So, and I always talk about guys trying to battle through injury. When you're doing that, you're deteriorating or you're sort of lowering your baseline level of performance. And what you want to do is be able to rest, recover, build back up so that you don't get back to that baseline, but you get back to where you were before you got hurt. Well, sometimes battling injury and battling multiple injuries sets you back to where now you're just trying to get back to that baseline of, I'm just trying to survive, figure it out, and then maybe go from there. And so there's a lot of things that he's been dealing with, but to see or hear him say like, yeah, man, got away, cleared shit out, ready to ride again. That's
we need to get him back on the podcast.
Yeah, he needs a rub.
Jay threw this link in the chat, I believe today. Old Boob Nightingale, USA Today. Rob Manfred questions whether San Diego Padres can sustain their huge payroll in a small market. One of the most interesting notes that I found in here, this is a direct quote from Bob. There was $3.7 billion spent in free agency this past offseason, with 7 teams accounting for $2.6 billion of that.
That's insane.
Yeah.
So when we talk about there's only going to be a small number of teams who are in any conversation for a high dollar free agent, though we're watching organizations manipulate the luxury tax by extending the years. So maybe they feel like they've figured out a loophole. I feel like that loophole is going to close. Yeah, I mean, dude, that's not good for baseball, period. It's not.
I know that other sports have labor unrest and that within the faction of owners, there are differences of opinion, whether it's the NFL or the NBA. And I'm not trying to pretend that other leagues don't have those sorts of problems. But don't you think it's bizarre at best how often you hear the commissioner of baseball talking about the sustainability of spending for this team, or how much, or the direction of contracts in this way, or this? It's just like, I don't understand. I mean, I understand why it happens and what his ultimate goal is, but it just feels like.
So then hold on.
There is such a constant rain cloud presence and a constant push to just be so overtly anti-labor in a way that other sports commissioners, if they are much, much more subtle about doing.
So then let me ask you this. If you know why, and I'm going to kind of put you on the spot right now, and if you don't want to answer, that's fine. I understand. But if you know why, because you said, I know why, and I don't mean, I'm not asking this like you have a definitive answer that nobody else knows about. Right, that's not how I'm asking this. Right. You have an opinion on why. And so I would like to hear what your opinion is on that why he speaks about things the way he does. Because I have a strong opinion on why as well. And I think there's an example being set that flies directly in the face of everything that this man says. And you almost have to hit pause. And I feel like somebody should pull him aside at some point and go, hey, dude, the stuff you're saying I don't know if you're watching the spending that's occurring in the game, but it's been happening for a while, and it's been sustained because we're watching the revenue in the game increase year after year. So it almost feels like you're just kind of trying to get people to believe something that isn't really true or that isn't there.
Yeah, I think it comes down to the fact that Rob Manfred is more like he's more upfront and direct about being a representation of ownership than I think most sports commissioners present themselves as in the modern day, and certainly more so than Bud Selig did, even though Bud Selig actually was an owner before becoming commissioner. Like, I know Manfred's background is as basically the labor lawyer for the MLB side of like CBA negotiations and stuff like that. So he's coming from a very specific angle on this. And I think there's a couple of things at play. I think he is getting a lot of legitimate, very real pressure from smaller market clubs who are agree or disagree. That is happening. Like, that pressure is being applied, and it has been applied prior to this offseason. I think that's part of it. I think the second part is that he is, I think there is in the back of people's minds still a fear that the antitrust thing is going to come back up into play politically, and that Major League Baseball's like spending and books and stuff like that will eventually be opened. And I think he's very committed to the idea of making sure that people hear that these are not profitable, that the Padres doing what they're doing right now is not profitable, and that they are in the red, which he says in that article. He says that about Steve Cohen too, with the Mets, that that this spending has them currently operating in the red. Nobody knows if that's true or not. It's probably not true, but I think the theory
he definitively
is that
says it. He doesn't even say I theorize. He says, direct quote, the Padres are going to lose money, but the question is, what are you going to do next?
No, see, so that's where again now, and I'm not going to get heavily into this stuff, but you understand how billionaire you know that Amazon declares a loss at the end of the year, right? We understand that. We get that, right? But just if we understand that basic idea of how that can happen, like, did you just tell me that Amazon reports a loss? Like, they don't, like, the taxes that they pay. Like, if we understand that kind of shit, then we can understand what the message really is here. And it's what I have said is it's always been, is there's a big difference between being profitable in somebody's eyes and being profitable in this other person's eyes. Your profitable and my profitable might be very different. The idea that you're not making any money and losing money at the end of the day, that's going to be tough to get me to understand or believe, because we understand how shit goes.
Well, and I also think that the main thing that the Mets spending and the Padres spending gets at is the idea that Major League Baseball and the owners have been trying to rip the cord between on-field team performance and team profitability for quite a long time now. And it's accelerated in the last 5 or 10 years. But if owners had their way, then whether a team makes the playoffs or whether a team is good or whether it wins baseball games would have as little to do with whether the team makes a profit or not as possible. And when you have teams like the Padres going out and spending real amounts of money over the long term to add to the on-field product, then I think that obviously runs counter, kind of philosophically to what a large portion of the Major League Baseball teams have been trying to do for the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years.
Well, and then my question would be, what would you have these teams do then? What would you have them do? Because the teams that want to spend, the teams that are saying, we like the idea of winning a trophy, and we understand that we might have to spend a little more in some areas just to shore up what we think will help us win that trophy. And whether you agree with that or not, that doesn't matter, because this is our organization and this is how we would like to try to win our trophy. So if I, at the end of the day, want to walk away from this only being able to pay the people that have to be paid out exactly what they are and nothing more. And it's almost like a break even sort of business deal for me, but I've got the trophy. I'm okay investing my resources to do that. That's kind of what Steve Cohen is saying, right? So what would you have him do then as an ownership who's willing to spend resources in a manner that others aren't, just so he can win this game? Because remember, it's a game. Or are you telling me it's a business now? Oh, wait, no, they're both. But that's part of business, right? Is being able to play the game. Well, he can play the game and he can do the business. So what would you have him do? Not play the game? You would have him not do the business? He's saying this is what the fuck this is all about, right? Like, we're here to win. So I want to do that. And I'd like to do that spending an inordinate amount of money, but I know that I'm going to be able to make this money up because this is profitable how I'm willing to do this. You think I fell bass backwards into being a billionaire? I've got a pretty good idea on how I want to do this. Just like the guy in San Diego. You think he fell fucking bass backwards into a boatload of money? He's probably got a pretty good idea. And remember, for a lot of these ownership groups, this isn't their main chip in their portfolio. You do well in business, so you get to play with the toy like a fucking franchise.
I actually wonder how true that is anymore. Like, not the overall wealth of the owners, but the idea that this is the toy that they play with because they made so much money elsewhere. I think that's individually true. I think that's currently true for Steve Cohen. I think that's true for, like Joe Lacob or somebody like that in the NBA, Jerry Jones. Like, I do think there's an element of that in each sport, but I think more and more there are ownership groups, or not even individual people, but conglomerates, or, like kind of 15, 20 people pulling their money together, where it's actually treated much more like a hedge fund. Yes. Where it's not necessarily just a toy that's, hey, let's go try and win some World Series and splash some money and throw our chips in and stuff like that. It's actually, we're going to build up the neighborhood around it. We're going to use this as an investment vehicle. And what happens on the field is like kind of incidental.
That's been, I don't want to say the problem, but that has been the biggest hurdle, I think, for fans to clear in their head, is that understanding is it's not number one in terms of the product and your team winning or losing. That is secondary to the business aspect of what a successful organization looks like. And if you are uplifting the community around you and you have those irons in those fires from a business perspective, then your organization, your baseball organization, is providing you with the vehicle that you need to do just that, to become a bigger entity within your neighborhood, within your community. All of those things generate revenue. And just because you're not going to the ALCS or NLCS doesn't mean you're losing money. It means you're not making as much as you potentially could, but by no means are you losing money.
Well, what I'm wondering is, like, the owners or Rob Manfred, they'll say this isn't really a money problem, but a competitive balance issue with one team spending too much. And I saw this on Twitter from 2004 to 2014, 10 years. There were 6 100-win teams in 10 years. And last year there was 4, which would say there is like a gap, I guess. There's more bad teams and more good teams, less competitive balance. Like, what do you think the solution for that would be? And who does it fall on? Is it owners, or which owners? Poor ones, rich ones, or what?
Competitive balance to me is always like kind of a term that's depending on who's using it, right? And like, I don't think there's any question that the quote unquote lack of competitive balance right now has absolutely nothing to do with player salaries and everything to do with a certain portion of these teams not being concerned really at the end of the day with what the product is on the field. Like, it just that it's the low end, it's not the high end for me, if that makes sense. It's the Rockies, it's the Pirates, it's the Reds, it's the Rays, although they continue to be so well run in other areas that their lack of investment doesn't really matter. It's, some of these teams like the Orioles going for complete 4 or 5 year teardowns where, the payroll is rock bottom and they're not investing anything in the major league organization in the quote unquote name of bottoming out and getting back to the top. Like, I think it's a combination of those sorts of things. I don't think it's because if you look at like percentage of like the high end, right? The percentage of player salaries that represent of a team's payroll, or what the high end players are making relative to what they were making back like when A-Rod signed his first record breaking deal. Like, we're not really moving in a upward trajectory way in that. Like, the salaries have not really gone the way that I think you would think over a 20 or 25 year period. It's just that we see these numbers that are now 13 and 14 year deals and think, wow, there's a lot more $300 million contracts now. But with inflation and just the natural revenue streams of the game, like, contracts are, if anything, I think a little stagnant relative to what you would expect. So I think it's a lack of investment and desire to compete on the lower end of the teams among the 30 than it is anything to do with, the top end teams spending in a way that can't possibly be matched by other teams.
And again, the lack of, or the perceived lack of desire to compete can also be translated in, this is the optimal business move for this organization. Because again, if I start to spend more, then I don't make as much, because I'm not going to be able to spend enough to win and take the windfall of the victory lap. But if I just stay right here, competitive meaning I have a team, then I'm good. I'm making money as this club.
Think of how quickly some of the recent World Series champions made very clear-cut financial decisions on key players from those championship teams, like almost immediately after winning. Like, I'm sure somebody very smart with the Red Sox would tell you that there was a financial benefit or net gain from the trade of Mookie Betts versus what they would have had to pay him versus what they got back in production. There's no argument left to be made anymore now that we have a half decade sample that was the better on-field decision. It was the wrong on-field decision if the Red Sox were first and foremost interested in winning baseball games. Right. You can say similar things about how the Washington Nationals tore down their roster following 2019, and we've been down that road. I've been down that road plenty of times with the 2016 Cubs. The 2016 Cubs, by the way, if you focus on the Rizzo, Baez, Bryant decisions, they made the right business decisions. That's played out. Like, Javier Baez is an anchor contract now. Chris Bryant is fine. Like, he's not on the Hall of Fame path that it looked like he was in 2016. Some of these are the right business decisions, but that doesn't mean that they're the moves that will impact winning on the field the way that, I don't know, it just doesn't feel like things happen that quickly 15 or 20 years ago to championship teams.
Speaking of business decisions, Manny Machado straight up said, I am opting out. So there were some false reports about what he was looking for if and when he reaches free agency at
decade
the end of the
plus
year. Easy. Yeah, this is what Manny Machado had to say.
You going to be a Padre next year, you think?
Am I going to be a Padre next year?
2024?
I mean, so far this year I'm a Padre, but who knows after next year? I know, obviously the team knows where I stand in my situation, and, with the opt-out coming, and, I think I've expressed that I will be opting out after this year, but I think my focus is not about 2024. I think my focus is about 2023, what I can do to this ball club, what I've done for this organization, and, what we're going to continue to do here. I think we got something special here growing, and, I don't think anything's going to change.
Is that going to be fairly easy for you to focus on?
I play baseball. I go out there and, do what I can every single day. I think ultimately we're all here to do one thing only, especially in this planet, is just to do what we're blessed to do. And, I was blessed to play baseball, and that's what I'm going to do every single day. And, try to keep leading this team in the right path and keep doing the things that we need to do as a ball club here. And I think, try to, it's going to be a lot of noise. It's going to be a lot of noise, definitely in Padre Stadium. Definitely Padre Stadium's going to be a lot of noise there, but definitely a lot of noise around the league and around a country with a lot of different things, obviously. So I think we're just gonna have to get together as a team and just focus in on our goal. And ultimately that's all that matters. I'm not really gonna comment on that. So on any or if there is, but I'm just here to play baseball and just continue to do what I got to do, and let my agent and the front office and AJ and Peter handle that. They know where we stand, and I think that's all that I could answer.
So, like, I've been thinking about this because that's not like a super new clip. It's been out there for a couple of days now. If you're a Padres fan, and this is going to come off as like a jab, you look at the before and after some of like the Padres fan fest. A lot of them are just tuning in recently, which is fine. I've talked about how I don't care. I don't like the term bandwagon fan. It's just some people get into like the sport or the game or the team when the team is winning. That's very much understandable. No one is picking up a sport being like, well, these guys fucking suck. I'll check it out. Like, no one's doing that. So it's like I don't really bandwagon shame, but to the point of when you are a newer fan, you are less likely to be understanding of the business side of the game. So if you're just, you've been diehard Padres fan since 2020, then you're going to be like, well, what the fuck? Like, Manny's our guy. And like, how could you like go back on the pod? What do you mean you're going to opt out? Don't you want to be here forever? I'm sure that there's a lot of that happening in San Diego, but to the more experienced baseball fans, you get it. You just saw this past offseason, a lot of players that are in their 30s or close to it, getting a ton of years, a ton of money. There's plenty of teams now that are willing to spend. I know that we just had the statistic that, basically it was 2/3 of the spending came from 7 teams, like less than a third of the league. But there are teams that are willing to spend a lot of money. San Diego Padres are one of them. So the before opening day deadline has been set by Machado and his camp. Whether or not they reach an agreement for an extension, I don't think so. I would hate to see the momentum of the Padres derailed by Machado opting out and signing elsewhere, and then also losing Juan Soto. Do you think, kind of going back to Manfred's comments, do you think that they will keep one of those two? Do you think that they will lose both of those guys? If so, who's more realistic? Do you think that they'll go all in on keeping a Juan Soto? He'll be more expensive. He's younger. He's better. Or has Machado put himself in a position now where he is one of the leaders of that team? Maybe they view him as the guy that keeps it all together. He's their Xander Bogaerts. He's the guy where it's like, you can't fucking let this guy leave. This is our identity. What do you mean you're not going to pay this guy? Is that Manny Machado in San Diego? How does this unfold?
That's got to be the perception. There was only one dude who was anywhere close to being in a spot to grab Fernando Tatis by the back of the collar and say, come here, my friend. Listen
Soto's
up.
not doing that.
Soto ain't. Fuck no. Absolutely not. Nope. And without that, you just remove that from the equation. Remove that. And then what do you have? You essentially have the babysitter gone. And now the place is going fucking nuts.
Which is crazy, and it shows the personal growth of a guy like Manny Machado, because we're not that far removed from Manny Machado being the guy that needed his collar grab.
No, and I can tell you what, having a guy like Eric Hosmer in that clubhouse probably helped.
Intangibles through the roof.
Probably helped a guy like Manny. So, but now Manny's that guy, and so that has to be the thought. Is we've got to figure out a way that we keep Manny here. And honestly, this is precisely how you draw it up if you're Manny Machado. Mm-hmm. Like, come in, become a leader in the clubhouse. Check. Pretty much the best player on the team. Check. Like, I'm now filling 2 roles in this clubhouse that are going to be very, very tough to fill should I not be here. Like you're going to
Manny
have
Machado, 2
options as far as who the
top
best
3
player on the
MVP
team is.
finishes.
Like you got some pretty good options there if I'm not here. But that leadership role, and who knows? It's not to say that Juan Soto can't develop into this leader. This coming of age might happen earlier, sooner rather than later. Maybe that lockdown deal comes sooner rather than later because Machado's gone, because it's Soto that they're looking at. But yeah, I got to believe that Manny Machado is every part of the San Diego Padres' future plans. But again, the question is, how much money do the fucking Padres have?
Yeah, bro. But doesn't it kind of feel like all this spending, they spent $1 trillion in one offseason, like kind of makes you think that they're kind of thinking ahead that we won't have to pay Manny Machado in the future because he's going to opt out. We can't afford him.
Well, I feel like a Soto conversation would have had to have happened if that's the case. Like you got to know that he's here, right?
Look at what Rob Manfred said. Not sustainable. Rob knows business.
Yeah, he wants us to know the business he wants us to know.
They got Xander, the new shortstop, new leader. Jared, you don't think Xander, some guy like best friends, roommates, you don't think he could be the next Manny Machado clubhouse leader, tell Tatis what to do?
He's not that guy that in that particular moment that we were referencing where like they're screaming at each other, Xander's not going to scream at anybody. He'll talk to you, he'll lead you, he'll guide you, but I don't think he's going to check you.
Well, that's good because look what that led. That made him do steroids. It's poor leadership.
Yeah, it's almost like you forget that they have a Xander Bogaerts there. Like we're talking about Manny Machado leaving. It's like, who's left? Oh, just Juan Soto and Fernando Tatis Jr. Oh, and Xander Bogaerts too. He's there. Holy shit.
You know what I appreciate about Manny after listening to that audio is there's never been 1 second since he's been in the major leagues where he did not treat his personal situation as a business.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And I totally non-critical observation. That's just, I feel like he has been rock solid, consistent on that since the moment he came in. Because this feels like the conversation that he had prior to leaving Baltimore. Just who's going to pay me the most money? Great. Awesome. Let's go.
And good for him too for getting so much shit about being an asshole, being a fucking dirty player, just to stick through it. And like, I'm not going to just be a bitch now and start lying. I'm going to say I play baseball.
Just gonna ride it out.
He's consistent. And I think that's why people have like kind of grown on Manny. I guess he doesn't step on as many ankles, but he has been consistently
I'm gonna have
the
to talk
same
to
guy.
I'm gonna talk to Aggie about that. I'm gonna have to get some answers.
I'm sorry, I'm just reacting to some news over here. It's not really a breaking news siren, but the Red Sox, for a while, one of their top pitching prospects, Noah Song, he was in the Navy. So the Dave Dombrowski and the Philadelphia Phillies got him in the Rule 5 draft, and everyone was like, and I tweeted, I was like, the Red Sox, you can make the case that the Red Sox just lost one of their best pitching prospects. And all these fucking nerds were like, don't you know that he's in the Navy and there's nothing that you can do? Blah, 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 blah. 20 minutes ago, Rule 5 pick Noah Song has been discharged from the Navy. He will be in camp tomorrow.
You a fan of this guy, Jared?
Big fan. It's all these like 20-year-old,
Jared,
it's these college kids that think that they know like more for some reason. Like all these like fucking like college kid baseball fans think that they're the smartest baseball fans now. It's crazy. They're all dumb as fuck.
Well, maybe they just didn't think that the Red Sox.
Don't you think that I would know more about this than them? Don't you think that I would know that?
It's true. You have a lot of inside information. You knew he was a draft dodger. They didn't. How are they supposed to know that?
Wow.
Crazy. Absolutely insane.
Do you want a guy like that on your team anyway, dude? To freaking let his country down? It's like, that's crazy.
I'm not talking about Nestor Cortez right now.
Come on, Jared. Let's get into this. You're a big fan of the Seaman. I want to hear you. Give us the 411 on what you think about a guy like this. Joey's bringing up a lot of interesting points.
He's been in the Navy for years. This is not like he went in the Navy and then got claimed by the Phillies and got discharged. He's been active for, I think, like 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways.
Absolutely insane that like the biggest music act in the world has to pause so that they can like go do their like military desk jobs. BTS. Shout out BTS. Shout out the Army. What up?
Shout out the Army.
And I think if they made Major League Baseball players do that, we'd be in a lot better position as a league and as a country.
Everybody had their mandatory Ted Williams stretch.
Yeah.
So, Joey, what you're saying is more war.
Yeah. There's some issues we could probably sort out in other places if we had major leaguers on board with operations. I'll say operations.
I'll say operations.
That's a whole new marketing opportunity.
Yeah, dude. Has he killed anyone, Jared? The guy in the Red Sox? What do you think?
So you think you're a closer?
Chris Cotillo just tweeted, Noah Song has to spend the entire season with the Phillies or he'll be offered back to the Red Sox. He needs to stay on Philly's 40-man roster, but would not here.
Wait, so how was he acquired? This is not a Rule 5.
Rule 5.
Oh, it is a Rule 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So he told the U.S. Navy, like, bro, listen, you got to let me go. They just let me out of the Red Sox. Like I don't have to play.
Basically going to give me a big league job if I can stay there. Can I please go play baseball?
If this is my only chance to get out of the Red Sox organization, please let me not be in the Navy.
Like, these are the guys who traded Mookie. Come on. This is where I got to. This is my out.
My internet's acting up again, I guess.
Yeah. He's probably saying, look, if things work out, we could maybe reconvene in San Diego. You know who's there? Xander. We'll just put a bow on this whole thing. What else we got?
That's it.
Is that all?
Yeah. Yeah.
Riveting.
That was it, I think. Yeah. It's good stuff.
What about your Brewers, bro?
We already talked about Christian Yelich.
No, man. Corbin Burnes.
Oh, yeah. Can we talk about that?
Getting burnt.
Yeah, man.
We kind of touched on this last pod, didn't we? Bichette.
Dallas called him a pussy. He was like, the direct quote, because he texted it to me after. He's like, this pussy is crying over.
No, what?
Yeah, he did. No. Oh, dude, I got the receipts.
That's
here. It is. Here it is. Here it is right here.
At the hearing, flew in the night before. Had the hearing all day.
He missed Valentine's Day for this.
Spent Valentine's Day on a plane. Got home at 10, 11 o'clock and got to see my wife before she fell asleep. So that was kind of how the Valentine's Day went. So that was fun. But like I say, you kind of find out your true value. You think you work hard for 7 years in the organization and 5 years with the big league team, and you get in there and basically they value you much different than what you thought you contributed to the organization. And it's just it's obviously it's tough to hear, it's tough to take, but they're trying to do what they can to win a hearing. But I think there was obviously other ways that they could have gone about it, and probably been a little more respectful with the way they went about it. But at the end of the day, here we are. They obviously they won it, but when it came down to winning or losing the hearing, it was more than that for me.
Corbin, this is everyone.
That's fucked up, man. But compare that to, Corbin Burnes has been on this show. Compare that to another alumni of this show. Max Fried was kind of had a different side
of like all those things. I couldn't be happier. To first comment on the other people, I couldn't be happier for them. They've worked really hard and they've earned it, and they're extremely talented. And I was going up, giving them hugs and sitting in their press conferences, and it was it's been it's these are, it's kind of life-changing money for people. So it's being able to just like congratulate them and support them, and we're teammates at the end of the day. But it's not. So there's no, on my side, there's no anger or animosity or anything. It's two sides going at it and business, and just kind of the way I see it.
So just different perspectives there. Max Fried versus Corbin Burnes.
There's always the element of you as an athlete, you want to believe, and you have believed this your entire life, that you're the exception. You're the exception in this group of kids right now. Like, everybody's telling you what the odds are and how stacked against you they are. And every time you hear that, you secretly are looking around like, hey, I hope you're fucking listening to this, because you're going to need to figure out what the fuck to do. Like, this isn't for me. This is for you. That's how you're thinking as a young athlete all the way through. And you want to believe that when you get to the big leagues, that you're going to be the exception, right? I will be my generation's Craig Biggio or Jeff Bagwell. I will wear the one uniform from dawn till dusk. And when it's all said and done, I will be this great organizational individual, this player and then inevitably the business of baseball starts to rear its head, however soon or later in your career. And I always think it's just a matter of how prepared you are for the realization that you're not that dude, or the realization that the team that you are willing to take the bullet for doesn't look at you like you're that dude. At least in this moment in time, at least when we're in this hearing. Why? Because this is business. And if you know that I have to walk in here and basically degrade you as a player so that I can earn our organization more money, if you don't understand that, I don't know another way to break it to you. That's what's occurring. And whether or not that's wise from an organizational perspective to want to burn bridges per se, or leave a bad taste in the mouth of your players, whether you put any stock into that or not. Maybe there's people who treat it like, look, we're going to starve this dog. We're going to beat this dog and rattle this dog's cage. And then when we unleash him every 5 days, we're unleashing a fucking beast on the rest of the league. We'll piss him off. He's getting bread and water. We don't care. Maybe that's their thought when they go into arbitration. Maybe Max Fried, it's a combination of him having an understanding that this is how this goes, and the organization also not dragging him through the mud to the extent that maybe other organizations do.
Yeah, it's just the Braves way. I want to get paid less money. Please. Thank you.
What do they do to their guys over there where they're just like, I would like to sign a deal that makes no sense for me. And then when you fuck me in arbitration and you say a bunch of horrible, disparaging things about my character and my play, I can't wait to speak glowingly of you afterwards. Like, what is that?
Ice cream machine in the clubhouse. I mean, what more could you ask for?
I think Corbin Burnes' response is much more relatable, frankly.
Yeah. He's like, I just wanted to go on a date with my wife on Valentine's Day.
Whatever, the Valentine's Day thing, we could kind of throw that out. But the idea that like you want to Cy Young for these guys, and you have been all told the best player on the roster across the last 2 or 3 seasons, position player or pitcher. And like, I understand how it came about and why teams still do it. But like, to me, there has to be a better way than saving $500,000 by telling the most important player on your team that he is fucking trash and you hate him.
That he was an impediment to your postseason success.
Like, he's the best player on the team. Like, right. Maybe Max Fried is not that, right? So maybe that makes it a little bit easier. I don't know. But Corbin Burnes is the best player in a Milwaukee Brewers uniform. And to me, it's penny wise and pound foolish. And we've talked about this on previous iterations of podcasts before, where I do think it's penny wise and pound foolish to save $500,000 or $600,000 with your best player. And whatever the percentage risk is that you've harmed the relationship moving forward, I would never anticipate that the player will give a discount on the back end because you didn't treat him like a piece of shit during the arbitration process, but it can't help the situation to treat him like a piece of shit. Like, I just don't understand. These are billion-dollar organizations, and we're all, as baseball fans, we're all just like, yeah, it's totally normal for this team to take their best player to arbitration over $550,000. Like, well, because it's insane.
This is how normal the suppression of salary has been in this game.
But that's exactly right. Like that's part of like the built-in anti-player element about the media coverage of baseball and sports in general that we don't even think about when we talk about it. Like just the idea that you have to drag your player to a hearing where they hear about how much they suck, or you don't have to. I mean, you don't have to.
No, but it's a rite of passage.
Outcome. Yeah,
it's a right. It's almost a rite of passage, Jay. Like, oh, well, arbitration. Everybody knows what going to arbitration means and what you are in for. It's almost akin to your freshman year in high school, right? Like, oh, you're a freshman. Look out for those trash cans. Look out for the senior. Like, there's just this inherent attachment to what that experience is like because we've all kind of been there. We all know what that looks like. And if you're a part of the baseball world, especially a player or a fan that covers it in depth to where you understand how the economics work, you know what this moment is about. You know that this is like, oh, fuck, they're either going to be friends or they're going to fucking hate each other after this. Like, God, I hope this goes well.
I just don't understand how we can suspend disbelief at the idea that this does not impact the relationship between team and player. Like, if any of us in any job we've ever had were called into your year-end review and we're like, not only do we not want to give you a raise, but here are all of the reasons professionally and some personally why we don't want to pay you more money instead of just saying, here's your raise, here's your review, get out of here. Like, we would all feel something for that, how that manifests.
It's like working at Barstool.
Yeah, I didn't want to put specifics on it, but yeah, put it working at Barstool, for example. Like, it doesn't manifest itself for the same in every person. Like, some people could be like what Dallas said and be like, I'm going to use this as fuel to show them that they're wrong. There will be other people who are like, I'm going to shut down and I'm not giving everything I can possibly give for this organization, or I am looking out the door. I'm looking 2 years down the line to see, hey, what pasture is greener? What organization have I not had personal disrespect experience with? I think those are real things.
So, like,
even if we don't get reporting on how that plays out moving forward.
Yeah, the baseline is different though, because from a player perspective, I understand what kind of pool I'm swimming in. Like, I'm going to have this kind of stuff said about me, and I'm going to have this kind of character questions raised about me. But at the end of the day, I know that I'm talking about making millions of dollars. That's what's going to happen here. And that job means a lot to me. I've worked my entire life for that job. And if I understand that this is a part of what comes with the territory here, whether I like it or not is one thing. I can embrace for impact though, or I can brace for impact and embrace it. And that puts me ahead of the game in terms of other folks who aren't ready to get there mentally. So to the whole like Barstool comparison, like, bro, take the job. It's not a dream job. The money is not like I'm not showing up for that end of the year review. Are you fucking kidding me? Like,
I know there's a mental fortitude that exists for athletes that doesn't exist for like fucking me dragging my ass to an office or something like that. But I do think like, I just think that it is really foolish, especially when you're talking about a player of this caliber and this importance to your roster.
Yeah. I again, it's tough to think that this is just a part of the game that we accept and we just kind of look past and we're like, oh, we'll just do the arbitration thing still. Like, we're still doing that. There's
like, this doesn't exist in the NBA. It doesn't exist in the NFL, and except for like very one-off assessments and stuff like that. Like, it's just a weird quirk of baseball that we're all like, yeah. It's the part where the team trashes the players to save like 0.0001% of yearly revenue.
There's not another sport that oh my God, that mirrors so much a terrible time in our country and a terrible business model. It's just, it's gross. It's gross. And I'd like to see baseball, every opportunity they can, pull away from that and get away from that.
Well, it's not a good look by my Brewers, but
yeah, Milwaukee. Corbin's going to be Milwaukee later.
Well, they weren't going to pay him anyway. So, I mean, they're haggling over like a couple $100,000 here.
But to my point, what is Corbin Burnes going to go do next year, or what's going to do this year? He's only going 4 innings. He's going to tell Milwaukee to go fuck themselves.
No, he would only fuck himself in that scenario,
right?
Because you're going to enter the open market and people are going to be like, "Oh, you weren't that good,"
right? And Milwaukee is going to go, "Well, that was fucking dumb. Oh, you really stuck it to us." So that's why the whole idea of the organization, my whole starved and beaten dog approach.
No, that's fine if you're talking about a player that you have absolutely no intention of signing long term, which is a totally separate conversation that sucks for the Brewers and Brewers fans separately. But yeah, if you know that this guy's walking out the door, then I guess whatever. Then the relationship doesn't matter. But
on Valentine's Day, though,
damn dog, on Valentine's Day,
that sounded like a guy who had a bad day, came home. You fucking suck, dude. You're not getting paid. And then he gets home. His wife's like,
you suck.
You didn't get me flowers. It's like, fuck.
He's like, I thought I just left hard. This is what I come home to? More of what I'm not doing?
Before we get out of here, college baseball's back.
Oh, it is.
You see they got a motherfucker out there, ambidextrous pitcher that throws 95, 96.
Yeah. Fucking.
What are we doing? What's in the water,
What's
boys?
his name? Jalen something? Yeah.
Dude, good luck. He's got a crazy last name.
Yeah. I wouldn't even want to try to begin to say that thing.
Yeah. His name definitely isn't like Steve Johnson.
No.
That's fine. The guy who can do that, he's better as a one name sort of icon anyway, right? Just Jalen.
Yeah. We'll just give him a nickname. I mean, but he's an ambidextrous pitcher who throws absolute fuzz. There's a bunch of dudes throughout the league that they're pumping. We're seeing triple digits already this year. We're seeing some 96 to 98 from guys. It's insane. I'll be better next week. I'll actually know his name. I want to give him credit and props for being able to throw 95, 96 with both arms. That is psychotic. But I don't know. What else did you Tristan Casas's brother hit 2 Mamos on Sunday. That family is just pumping out absolute monster baseball players. They were not cheapies at all. I saw there was a true freshman that I want to say, did he play for San Diego? Maybe. His name was Jared. I can't remember his last name. Hit a ball off the scoreboard. We're going to get some actual college baseball experts who know what they're talking about to come mix it up with us, at least for the month of March. Because that's usually how it goes for me, is I'm like very locked in on college baseball in March, and then MLB season starts and I'm like, all right, thanks. Like college baseball is the side piece that just kind of like keeps you warm. And then it's like, all right, now I got to go back to my main bitch. Major League
Always
Baseball.
there, though. Always there.
Always there. Steady, reliable, a whole thing.
Shout out the Red Raiders. Swept the Zags. That's right.
Rushmore for next week.
Oh, yeah.
What's the Mount Rushmore?
Texas Raiders, baby. Texas Tech baseball.
That's right. I believe we're in the top 25. Don't sleep.
Well, let's do a Mount Rushmore for Texas Tech. Who cares, man? They're hot.
Yeah,
we're close. We're close. We have 10 left.
Who's the Rushmore?
Final 10. It's not Texas Tech, but it is the Texas Rangers.
Let's go.
Oh,
the Rangers.
We have entered the final 10. Just as a quick reminder, Rangers will be 10, and we'll have 9 more. White Sox, Guardians in the Central, Red Sox, Yankees in the East, the A's out west, Dodgers, Giants in the NL West, your Milwaukee Brewers, and we're bringing back the the Braves to do with Joey. So we have 10 left. Rangers next week.
Yeah, I mean, I'd fly my guy down here to do me sometimes. We go.